Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today I'm going to show you how to remove the valve cover on a Kia Rio. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're working with here is the 1.6 liter engine, the small engine that's used in these Kia Rios. First thing that we're going to have to do is we need to remove this cover here. And all you're going to do is just give it a good pull upright and you'll pop it off the little, it has these little tabs. And that will expose what we need. So right here I'm going to get a close-up so I can identify what we're looking at and what we're going to have to remove. We're going to have to remove this vacuum line here that comes from the air intake. That has to come off. We have the GDI high pressure fuel pump right here. We're going to have to release the pressure off of that and remove that. That's held on by 2 bolts. We'll go into more detail as we go along. Then you have your 4 ignition coil packs, 1 tucked back here and then 3 across here. They need to be removed, so that way then we can take these 2 screws here and remove the harness that holds that. And then just a couple other pieces here that we'll identify as we go along, but those are the main things that we'll have to take off, so that way we can access all of the bolts along the edges, so that way we can take this valve cover off. In order to complete this task, these are the items that you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need a set of pliers, whether they be adjustable pliers like this or needle nose pliers. Basically anything that can compress the hose clamps, because we're going to have to remove some of the hoses off of it. Rags, definitely need those because you're going to have fluids, whether it be gasoline or oil, coming out at some point, so you want to make sure that you have rags readily available. You're going to need a 10 millimeter and a 19 millimeter wrench. You're also going to need a 10 millimeter socket. Ratchets, it doesn't matter what size. These are the 2 that I use, but really any of those will work. But you're going to need a ratchet with a 3-inch and a 6-inch extension. You're going to need both of those. You're also going to need a set of gloves because this is going to be very dirty. A lot of grease and stuff you're going to be getting on your hands. So unless you don't mind having to wash your hands a lot, I would recommend gloves. And then last but not least, you're going to need a rubber mallet. So these are the items right here. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we start this, we want to make sure that we disconnect the battery, since we are going to be messing with some of the electrical harnesses. We don't want to cause any issues. So we're going to go ahead and take off the negative terminal off the battery. Set it off to the side. We're going to start by removing this vacuum line here. So we're going to go ahead and take off that hose clamp so we can pop that back. Gently pull that back. And we're just going to pull this off. That'll give us access to everything that we need to get to. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this high pressure fuel pump. I'm going to go ahead and detach the harness coming into it right here. Just push it down and just slide it off. Move it out of the way right here. And then next we're going to go ahead and remove the fuel lines. Now on this particular one here, there is no way to release the fuel pressure, at least not that I'm aware of, with the relay, because on some Kias you have the relay inside the fuse box where you can remove the relay, start the car, and release the pressure. On this particular model here, the relay is hardwired underneath the fuse box, and I'm not going to get into desoldering it and all that stuff. So we're just going to go ahead and just release it here by opening it. We'll just have a cloth with us to absorb it, and then we'll just take it off here to get the pressure off here. If you know of a better way, please comment on this video, but to my knowledge, this is the quickest way to do it without taking things apart. Next, we're going to remove this low pressure fuel line right here, which is held on by this clip. Got to be very careful with this. This clip can break easily. There's another piece that wraps here that I actually snapped while I was trying to get that off. So you want to be careful with that, because if you do break it, then you got to go through Kia to get that part, which I'm going to have to do. But for now, you're going to remove the ring that wraps around here, and I'll show you what that looks like. It's pretty much broken, but it kind of goes on like that, and it wraps around. You can see there that tab, it clips around. The dealership had it on with the clip in the back, so I wasn't able to get to it properly, and as a result it broke. So I want to be very careful with that. So we're going to go ahead now and just gently pop that off, and then we'll be able to remove this low pressure fuel line, and then we'll come and do this line here, and then we can start removing the GDI high pressure fuel pump. Okay, we're going to pop this off. Should be able to just take it off by hand, if not just a flathead screwdriver, but there you go. Comes right off. And then now just using a little prying tool, we can go ahead in here, put it right against that tab and just pop this off, but we're going to put a rag under here. There's also this electrical connection here. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to undo that as well, so that way that's not in the way. Pop that off, tuck that off to the side here, and that way we have more space in here to work. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off after we put the rag in, and then we can move on to this fuel line. We'll put the rag here. Make sure you get it all around so we don't have fuel flying everywhere. There we go, all nice and tucked down in there. So now we'll take our pry bar, put it right in here. These can be a little tricky. You gotta work it slowly, you don't want to break it, but get a little bit of leverage in here. Just keep working it. And here it comes. Slowly moving out. Want to make sure that this clip here, and sometimes a flathead screwdriver can help too, to use as well. It's kind of, there we go. Just because that plastic clip needs to be completely pressed down. Gently pull that out. There we go. So that's our low pressure line is gone. So now we're going to go ahead and remove this one here. What I'm going to use is a 19 millimeter. They do make a special socket made for that, which I do not have. So I'm just going to use a 19 mil just to get around that and loosen that. These can be on pretty tight. There we go. Once you break that, then you can unscrew that. Fairly easy. Make sure you have the rag under here because you don't want gas coming out. And then just gently pull that out. There we go. And there it is, separated. So now we're ready to remove, and I can pull this out now because the fuel pressure has been released, so there's nothing else in there. And you can cap these off. I know some people say to cap them off. I don't have any caps at this time to do that with. So I'm just going to tuck that here. And then let's get that removed. Now looking here, you have two 10 millimeter bolts holding it on, one here in the front and one right there in the back. So that's what we're going to be taking off, and then this whole assembly can come off and we can move on to the ignition coil packs. I'm going to use a little extension rod right there. That way we can work our way around both of these. Otherwise it's hard to get back in there. So that helps a lot. Let's go ahead and get these off. Loosen that one, come around back and do this one. Take the gloves off so I can get a better grip, but they're getting loose now, so we can take them off by hand. Just work them out. Be careful you don't lose them. And now we can remove that. Gently pull that out. Don't let any dirt or debris fall in there. And what you want to do is store this upside down so that way it doesn't get damaged. I'm going to set this here, keep it like that. That way all that is safe and protected. Now that we have the high pressure fuel pump removed, we can focus on removing all of the ignition coil packs, which are located here across the top of the valve cover. So you have one tucked right back there, then second one, third, and fourth. That's what we're going to focus on now. And once we get those removed, then we can remove this harness piece, and then we'll start having access to all of the bolts holding the valve cover on. To remove these ignition coil packs, you're going to need a 10mm socket to remove those. I recommend using an extension on there, but you don't have to. For me, it's just easier because you can get a better grip like that on it. If you do want to see how to replace those, if you're having one that's faulty and you want to know how to diagnose it, how to replace it, you can check out my video via the link above on how to do that. But now we're just going to go ahead and get these removed, and then we will move on to the next part. All of the bolts have been removed from the 4 coil packs. Now we're going to remove the coil packs. All you're going to do is just grab it and gently pull up on it. It'll come right up. Pull it out. And then you can go down the line and pretty much do that for all of them. I'm going to remove the other 2. We'll be right back. All the coil packs have been removed. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the harness. You have 2 10mm right here. One here, one there. So all that I'm going to do is just using it here on a screwdriver attachment and remove it like that. One right here. Same thing on that one. These aren't on that tight, so you really don't need the ratchet. Now with that off, you can then remove the harness from the valve cover. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that away. We still need to remove these 2 components here, and then we're completely free. Next, we're going to remove this 10mm so we can remove this wire here. And then for this here, all we have to do is just unplug that. Move these out of the way. That'll also free up this harness to be pulled back so we can access all the screws along the edges here of the actual valve cover now that we're ready to remove that. I'm just going to put this screw right back in the same place just so we don't lose it. Just hand tighten it in. Here on this side, go ahead and unplug this. Get that detached. Okay, so that comes off. And then we still have this line here that we need to remove. Let's go ahead and get that off to free up the valve cover. Okay, so now we're pretty much freed up. You can see here what we've done. Make sure we can access all of the bolts holding the valve cover on. There's one there. You can see, remove that. There's one down here. Then across the front, you can see them there. And working our way up around there. Here, one right back there. See if I can get the camera back here. There's one there. And coming across here, you can see them now. There's that one on the corner. Then you're working way around here. And there's one there. Here. And then right there, and then that's our corner. There's where the fuel pump was removed. Let's work our way over there. So we have that one, one right there on that corner. And then we're right back here to where we started, coming around here. So that's pretty much all the ones that we need to remove next. So it looks like it's a total of 14 10mm bolts going around the valve cover. So we're going to go ahead and start removing them so we can pop this thing off. All right, so let's get started with that. For this, I'm going to use a longer extension. That way we can get down in here. I switched over to the smaller extension to get along the back here. The other one was too high. So let's see. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and work these out as best as we can with the ratchet and the socket, and then we'll take them out by hand after that point. Make sure they're nice and loose. You kind of have to feel around back here where they are. Want to make sure you get all of them. Go ahead and take the gloves off so I can get a better grip reaching back here around the back. Just hand do those. Working our way down here. And there's the other two. There's this one here. And then this one is all the way down here. And I believe that's it for the ones along the back. Now there is the one here. If we slide further down, there's that one all the way here on the corner. And that's a little tricky if you're reaching over. Okay. And I think we almost got it. There we go. Make sure you do not drop them. And that's it. Now we're just going to take the 4 across the front, and then we'll be able to pop this valve cover off. After you remove all of the outer bolts, you want to make sure that you remove the inner ones. There's a 10mm here, another 10mm there, and then going in here where the ignition coils were, you have 4 10mm there that also need to be removed. Now we can take them all off by hand. These have all been loosened. Remove any debris. You don't want stuff falling in there. And the last one. Take this off. Because that has to slide off of it. Out. Gently just work it out slowly, and you get, here we go. this one is stuck on there, which is not uncommon if it's been on there very long. The gaskets can get stuck. In a case like that, you don't want to go bang it with a regular metal hammer or screwdrivers or anything. You want to use a rubber mallet. Give it some good taps all around. Make sure you clear the area. Get a little, there we go. Let's see if we can, there we go. Lifting it up. Make sure you clear all the area. Pull that up. And boom. There's our valve cover. And the gasket is all caught on here. There we go. And there you have access to whatever you need to work on, whether it be your chain, your valves, lifters, all that. Everything is accessible here. Here's our valve cover. You can see there's the gasket. These are your ring seals here. Everything is in place there. Well, this pretty much wraps up this video on how to remove the valve cover on a Kia Rio, the 1.6 liter. And if you're wondering why you would need to know how to do that, if you need to replace your ring seals, your gaskets, all that, if you need to get into your valves, lifters, any of those things, this is how you would need to do it. So this is a very, very helpful procedure for anyone who owns a vehicle like this to know how to do that, because there's a lot of maintenance you can do on your own if you know how to do that. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Please send me any questions, any comments. I would love to hear from you. I hope this video was informative for you. I hope it helped you out. And as always, I appreciate all the support. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.